everybody. Welcome to AutCom's second out of 3 webinars. This one is on navigating love and intimacy, and you're going to hear from a panel of autistics and their support people. My name is Lisa Keller. I am president of Autism National Committee, or AutCom, and I'm going to just introduce our moderator, and then I will step back. She will tell you, she'll do all the housekeeping, but I hope everybody has a wonderful time with this. Our past webinars have been amazing, so enjoy. And I want to introduce you to Barbara Avila. Go ahead, Barb, take it away.
Hello. Thank you so much. I am absolutely thrilled to be here. I feel very honored, so thank you. Welcome to Navigating Love and Intimacy with the Autism National Committee. As Lisa said, my name is Barbara Avila. You can call me Barb, though, and I am honored to be here today to help moderate today's webinar. This webinar is the second, as she mentioned, in the series of 3, all focusing on friendship, love, and intimacy. The recordings will be available online to the general public on our website, which is AutCom.org. And we invite you to go there to read about our history, our mission, and even view some of our newsletters. The Autism National Committee, aka AutCom, was formed in 1990 to address the social justice and self-advocacy needs for all autistics. Our organization was the first organization to do this. Our organization is all volunteer and it's nonprofit. We do no fundraising, and our board is comprised mostly of autistics, some of whom spell to communicate. We give stipends to each autistic webinar panelist, and we have live captioning. The work of this organization, all of that it does, costs money, of course, and we appreciate any financial support that you can offer. Membership to AutCom is only $10 per year for autistics and for students, and it's $30 per year for non-autistics. 100% of your donations go to funding these endeavors like you're seeing today, and so we thank you in advance. You can go again to autcom.org to become a member. While your voices will be muted during the webinar, please use the chat feature down below to make comments. And we ask that anyone with questions for the panelists, which we'll get to towards the end, that you could please use the Q&A section also located at the bottom of your screen. Questions may be lost if you try and put them in the chat, so please be sure to put them in the Q&A, and we will try to get to each question before the time runs out. 3 of our panelists today spell to communicate, so out of respect for their efforts, and there will be no talking by me, the moderator, or others while they are spelling to answer the questions. Our autistic panelists today have been gracious enough to share their thinking on today's subject of navigating love and intimacy. You can read more about each of the panelists on our website, and I hope that they will each be sharing a little bit about themselves as well. I will just briefly introduce them to start so that you know who is going to be sharing their thoughts and feelings today, and I'm going to introduce them in order that they will answer the questions, although we might be kind of flexible during that time as well. So Raesin Caine. Raesin serves on the board here at the Autism National Committee and is an epidemiologist in her work life. Daniel Bergman. Daniel was the first non-speaker to earn a Harvard degree. He is a writer and shares that he worries about relationships all the time. Ivanova Smith. Ivanova is an activist and advocate who has served on both national and statewide councils around disability rights issues. Jamie Burke. Jamie is an international public speaker and advocate for typed communication as a gateway to speech, literacy, and connection. Yasmin Arshad. Yasmin is it Yasmin or Yasmin? I apologize.
Yasmin.
Yasmin, okay, good. Yasmin is an accomplished artist who has exhibited her work all over the world. She reports that her true joy in life is now being able to communicate. So now we will move into the question and answer portion of our webinar. The questions were created and prepared by the panelists themselves. So I am so excited about this. I'm so glad all of you are here. Thank you. So I am going to throw the first question out there. And again, it's going to be, I believe, Raesin, you're going to answer first. And then we'll go through each panelist. So the question is, how much time do you spend thinking about love and intimacy? And the second part of that question is being in a relationship appealing to you?
I'm so happy to be here, first of all. I'm excited to hear from all my fellow panelists. So I think about love and intimacy every day. I'm married. I've been with my wife for over 12 years, and we're very intentional about our relationship. So we put effort into it every single day. We're really good friends. We started as friends and started dating about a year after we met. And we care about being happy together.
Thank you so much, Raesin. All right. So, Dan, do you want me to answer? Do you want me to repeat the question, or do you want me to just let you take it from here?
Dan, put the question in the upper left-hand corner of the video screen.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that.
Being in a loving and committed relationship is tremendously appealing to me. I think about it daily, and I also worry. I worry whether it will happen, whether we will be wrong to choose each other, and whether I will mess it up. Mostly I wonder who she will be, and I daydream about making her happy.
Thank you, Dan. And we're moving on to Ivanova. Same question to you.
This is Ivanova Smith, and I've been happily married for almost 10 years with my husband. And we think of our relationship as an action and like our love for each other as an action because we love each other. We do the best we can for each other. And that's the way we think about our relationship. It's like, what can I do to make, to support my husband, and he thinks the same for me. And we have really open communication with each other, and it's brought us two beautiful children. And so they're part of our relationship too.
Thank you, Ivanova. Such a wide span of situations that all of you have. We are going to go on to Jamie. A beautiful PowerPoint.
How much time spent on thinking about love and intimacy? There, where I think I engaged the thoughts more I was in high school was observing students, and I was glad to have friends and seemed to connect me with a physical relationship. I believe I was mobilizing that message in my mind, and that I was good at engaging the initiation in my communication. Needed patience for having a real conversation. Of course, I was hopeful that maybe one day a connection will touch and visual light will come with someone lovely and kind and patient.
And thank you, Jamie, for your thoughts on that. And Yasmin.
Okay, so Yasmin wrote, desperately wish I could encounter my soulmate and that he would sweep me off my feet. But there are no Prince Charmings riding over the hill. I realize I have not much experience in relationships. My experience comes from movies and observing my family. I probably have an over-romanticized idea of love and intimacy, but that does not stop me from dreaming.
That's beautiful, Yasmin. Thank you. Oh my goodness, I so appreciate all of your answers. And I think what's striking me the most is that this is the same for everybody, right? We all yearn for relationships, and autism or not, speaking or not. So thank you so much for sharing. We're going to move on to the next question. The next question is, what are you looking for in a relationship? Are you looking for example, sexual versus non-sexual, romantic versus platonic? And if you feel like this isn't matching for you and Jermaine, for your situation, it's okay to pass too. I want to make sure you know that. So what are you looking for in a relationship? And we're going to go through the same. So Raesin, you first again, if that's okay with you.
I was looking for a partnership, romantic partnership. I wanted a friend, a lover, and somebody that would be kind to me and I would be kind to them. And that's what we have. I don't have a long answer to that. I think I want what many people want, and I feel really fortunate to have it.
I'm wanting everyone to listen to this today. It's so important, not just in the autism community, but for everybody. My goodness. Thank you, Raesin. Dan.
I am looking to connect. The kind of relationship is something we will have to figure out together. I can imagine flirting in an Alpine train station at dusk in the rain waiting for a train that's late, and I can imagine being friends who discover wanting to build a life with each other.
That's so romantic. That's so beautiful. Ivanova.
Well, when I first met my husband, we were in junior high, and I was just wanting to find a friend because I struggled to make friends for junior high and elementary school. I had no friends. And then in junior high, all of a sudden, I started going to this church youth group, and I started making friends for the first time. And my husband was one of the first friends I made. And really, the only thing I was really looking for is somebody that accepted me the way I was. Because I stuck out like a sore thumb with my disabilities, and it made me really depressed. But my husband made me feel better about it and made me feel not he helped me get rid of the self-hatred I was having. Like, he was one of the first people in my life that really accepted me, even with my disabilities. I remember when I was scared at first to confess to him that I was a special ed. And he said, well, you couldn't really hide that, but it doesn't matter because I just see you as the smartest person I've ever met. And I will never forget he said that to me in the 8th grade. And we were on our way to a winter camp through our church. And it was a really good feeling to know that he accepted me and that he loved me the way I was, and so that I could be myself around him and know he wasn't going to just leave me. Because my family thought any boy would just leave me. My dad, when I tried to tell him that I had a boyfriend, he didn't believe me, and he said, "Oh, that boy's just playing the field." And he was wrong because he had to walk me down the aisle and give me over to that man 10 years later. So, but one thing that really helped was my family was supportive of me being in romantic relationships and having those feelings. And they did not believe in mental age theory and this idea that people with IDD couldn't get married. They really wanted me to get married.
Thank you, Ivanova. The power of our families. That's so true. I appreciate that. Jamie, you are up next.
Autism impact. I believe my autism is important. I believe my autism is important in the opportunity to be honest about my personhood Of course, I need to communicate with both keyboard and voice. That seems to not offer a smooth place to move relationships on the path of connection. A physical connection is lovely, but I am thinking the vital ability to understand how to initiate that is strongly interesting to me. I need a plan of communication in my mind. However, I would say that it does not fit the process together normally. I then think about that continually, and my OCD takes over and it becomes a continual concern. That can be certainly upsetting to me and can be stressful.
So thank you for answering that, Jamie. Do you have any additional thoughts on what you're looking for in a relationship?
Is it okay? We'll go ahead and type in the chat if you want to keep going on. We'll get
Okay, yeah,
Is that all
that
right?
works great. Yeah, of course. All right. So, Yasmin, what are you looking for in a relationship?
Ideally, I would love to have a loving partner with whom I could have a romantic, intimate, lifelong relationship. But sex alone would suffice. Having said that, sex actually kind of scares me. Too often, I suppose it is not pleasurable. Men can objectify women. I do not want to be just a sex toy. Certainly, I don't want to be raped. Can wishing for love have any real traction? Sex definitely might be easier to find than a really special relationship. A very amorous person who treats me tenderly might be okay to teach me about sex. I do not have any religious hang-ups that would prevent me from having premarital sex. Just impossible odds to surmount.
And getting it and it and then getting it and then
Okay, yes.
and getting it and then in ours.
Thank you very much, Yasmin. I appreciate your thoughts on that very much. All right. This is so helpful. We're gonna, again, start with a new question and go through everybody. So I really appreciate your answers. What sort of impact, and Jamie, thank you, you already answered this one, but what sort of impact do you think your autism has on forming and being in a relationship? So, Raesin.
It's interesting. I was only diagnosed 7 years ago, but what I learned over time was that it seems like what people liked about me was how my brain worked. I was already married when I got diagnosed, but I think one of the things that came up with dating was eye contact, which I know we'll be talking about a little bit later. And just differences in like having to explain or needing people to recognize that my engagement might look different. For example, I might not be looking at you, but I'm very much listening. And usually it doesn't take people long to realize that I'm listening, but that can be kind of a strange thing to cover with a neurotypical date, for example. I think I may have dated another autistic person, and we didn't have to explain anything to each other. But as far as being in a relationship now, my wife and I are very honest with each other, and I know she loves me for who I am, and I feel very much at home with her. Sorry, that was a very unpolished answer. I had notes here, but
It was beautiful.
didn't follow
No,
them. All right, thanks.
very much appreciate your thoughts. All right. So, Dan.
The impact on me and on typers with autism is enormous because unless we can figure out how to type together on our own, we can't have any privacy. It's not easy to court or love with a communication partner in the room. This problem is so particular to non-speakers who, like me, type to communicate, that I'm going to play you a song by Elizabeth Bonker that captures the problem while still somehow being a love song and full of feeling. So sit back and enjoy. I promise the rest of my answers will be short.
the light. I ask myself, could this be the night? Music gently plays for us. Isn't love when you make a fuss? The waiter stands at our side. Something in our worlds collide. Four people at the table. Four people, not two. Four people at the table. Can't it just be me and you? Walking down along the sand. Will he take my hand again? The water sparkles in the light. Could our future look that bright? How will this evening end? Do I have a lover or a friend? In a four-poster bed, this cannot be our life ahead. Four people in the bedroom. Four people, not two. Four people in the bedroom. Can't it just be me and you? One is me needing my words to be set free. Two is you who knows what I'm going through. Dad's number three, helping you talk to me. Four is my mom who holds my voice in her palm. Here we are, years from now. Nobody thought that we'd figure out how to live together on our own. We walked into the great unknown. Wrinkled hands held in the night. Who said our future wasn't bright? Two people at the table. Two people, just two. Two people at the table. It was always me and you. Two people in the bedroom. Two people, just two. Two people in the bedroom. It was always me and you.
I love the song, but I note that she is fuzzy on just how she and her lover figure out how to live together on their own. I hope Jamie will tell us about what he has achieved in mutual typing. I myself have spent hours trying to imagine how a non-speaking couple could get together, and I've written a movie script about an imaginary couple who try.
Dan, thank you so much. And Elizabeth, I am seeing that you are in our audience today. Thank you so much for sharing that beautiful song. Really appreciate you being here, sharing. And Dan, thank you. Thank you so much, Dan. We're on to Ivanova. Would love to hear your thoughts on what sort of impact do you think your autism has on forming and being in a relationship?
I think a lot. One big thing is I have a lot of sensory issues, and so being snuggly with my husband was really hard at first, and it was painful, and it was hard just to get used to kissing, and any physical touch. And I apologize for the background noise. But anyway, there were sensory issues that were a barrier, and we had to get used to our communication styles too. And I think those were the biggest things, is my sensory issues and my trauma and my communication sometimes was a struggle. But we got through it, and I think, we're still really happy. And there's some things, we've been able to work around with my sensory issues, and other things, we just figure it out. And it's really it takes a lot of years, because we've been together for 10 years, but it took 3 years in our marriage to finally be able to feel intimacy. So sometimes it takes a lot of time, even after you're married, to really, and that's why I'm glad that our love for each other was not based off of lust or sex. It was based off of, we're best friends and we want to stay together and talk with each other and be with each other because we love each other. And so I think that really helped, because my husband was able to just be really patient with the parts that I struggled with. And we eventually, it took several years, but we eventually were able to get through it. And now it's been really amazing. And I have 2 beautiful daughters because of it.
Thank you, Ivanova, and no worries about the sound in the background. I love hearing kids, so we're good.
Yeah,
And Jamie, oh,
Nintendo.
sorry.
I'm letting them play Nintendo right now, and they're really excited.
Nice. All right, Jamie.
I have a heart partner already, and we are very connected. The difficult thing is we live far apart. I hope to just vitally have the connected relationship for a lengthy time.
I think we were jumping back when you asked Jamie for a comment, and if he had a partner,
Yeah.
what he wanted in a partner, and he was responding that.
And we are very connected. The difficult thing is we live far apart. I hope to just vitally have the connection relationship for a lengthy time.
Thank you, Jamie. And thanks for jumping back to that. I appreciate it. All right,
My pleasure.
Yasmin.
Hold on one second.
Okay.
Um,
And this is, what sort of impact do you think your autism
Yeah.
has on forming and being in a relationship?
Okay, Yasmin, first of all, just typed that she hopes she wasn't being too candid in her answer the last question.
I think the more candid, the better. It's great. Thank you.
So the answer to the third question is, certainly I would hope to experience a loving relationship that includes intimacy. But how can I sample that intimacy when my only form of communication requires a facilitator? Whenever would someone be able to get close to me when I am surrounded by my overprotective family? Autism really isolates those of us who are not highly integrated into the social norm.
So true. Thank you, Yasmin. And again, I appreciate your candidness very much. All right, we're going to move on to the next question. This next question, all the questions are kind of similar, so I'm really enjoying it. And if you want to pop in and say something that the other person has said, or or respond to somebody, please feel free to do that. But the next question is, how do you feel about connecting physically? So some of you have talked about sensory issues. So kind of going there of how do you feel about connecting physically? And Raesin, you get to start us off.
For me, it's really important. I'm a cuddler. Sex is important, but it's also more than that. I mean, basically, both people have to learn and know how to respect what the other person wants or when they don't want anything. So to me, that kind of thing has always been important. I've never been able to do just hookups with strangers. Like there's no trust. So yeah, physical connection is important. And I can't have that be the only thing. Also, that's have to
Makes sense.
basically
Thank
for
you.
love them basically. Yeah.
And Dan is getting ready. Thank you, Dan.
Yes, please. Even non-erotic touch is a pleasure for me.
Thank you, Dan. Ivanova.
This is Ivanova Smith. So my answer is going to be a little bit more. So I was institutionalized for the first 5.5 years of my life, and it made me have really strong textual sensory issues where when I was first adopted, and I was 5.5, I couldn't handle a hug. I couldn't handle if somebody tried to pick me up, I would freak out. And like I couldn't understand why people wanted to touch each other and hold each other, and I actually did not like snuggling. Snuggling is really hard for me. I've learned to cope with it, and I've learned to eventually like it a little bit, but it's hard for me to snuggle and to hug. And when I like hugging people, I give people bear hugs. And my girls are teaching me how to snuggle. Like they're very snuggly. They love to snuggle. So I think they've really helped me. But I still can't snuggle for long periods of time. And so like my husband and my children having to learn to respect that there are times when Moochie did not want to snuggle. And you gotta get off of Moochie as Moochie's gonna have a meltdown. And we don't want that. Because it's just sensory overload when I get, like people sitting on me or just being just it's really hard. Like it's sensory wise, it's overwhelming to be touched and stuff like that. It's like I have to have my clothes in a certain way for to be comfortable. Like I have to wear, like I always have my shirt tucked in, and I only wear men's clothing because it's more comfortable with my textual issues. And I can't wear makeup, and I can't wear a mask. A lot of people hated me because I couldn't wear a mask during COVID. So it's for me, it's a lot of sensory issues. But my family just, we just work it out together. And there's time for this certain things that will kind of relieve it a little bit. Like if I drink alcohol, for example, I'll become more welcome to snuggling. So like that that was one thing that helped my husband and I figure out a way to become more intimate when we first were trying to figure that out. And after we were married. And so it's like the snuggling and the skin to skin stuff was really hard for me. But once I had my kids, it's like I had no choice. And it actually was, really comforting in a way. And it was a really positive experience doing skin to skin with my children. And I think it helped me be able to be more snuggly with my husband too. So I know that may sound strange.
It doesn't sound strange at all. You've had quite a roller coaster of changes throughout your life of your, connecting physically with people you love. So thank you for sharing that. Jamie.
Yeah, because the first 5 years of my life, I did not have a family. I did not have any of that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No worries, no worries. Thank you. Jamie.
Connecting physically. For me, I was confused. I was confused about the roles of romance. I see so many television shows where the romantic relationships are a breeze for them, but I have not experienced that. I do have my heart partner, Kelsey, but she lives in Indianapolis, and I live in Syracuse, New York, so we are a large distance apart. We move along in our connection at conferences, meeting at our home in Indiana, and also here at my home in Camden, New York. We had a small vacation time with our support person. I love seeing her, but much pressure to get marriage discussed. Of course, that was too hard for me and perhaps disappointing for others. I always am aware that I have a communication support with me, and I interpret watching my brothers how it is to simply be truly on your own navigation if freely desired. I question from my experience with Kelsey how other people can misinterpret that those who giving a relationship a hopeful and willing try.
Thank you, Jamie. Is Kelsey here today?
And Indianapolis in Indiana there.
Excellent. I was just wondering if she might be on the webinar today. We could say hi to her. All right.
It's in Colorado, yeah.
Oh, okay. So thank you, Jamie. So Yasmin, how do you feel about connecting physically? Oh, I'm sorry, you are muted.
Okay. The truth is, I'm not sure. Hugs sometimes feel suffocating. Touch sometimes is annoying, but other times I crave to be cuddled. Best if someone knows this about me so the person doesn't get offended.
Thank you, Yasmin. All right, we're going to move on to the next question about eye contact, which I think, Raesin, you mentioned that was coming up soon. So here it is. Is eye contact an issue in your relationship or in pursuing relationships if you're not in one now?
For me, it has been. I never thought about it, but I was dating this guy, and he brought it up. This was a really long time ago, and he told me that he thought at first that I was being dishonest because I wasn't maintaining eye contact with him, but he quickly realized that wasn't true. So based on him telling me that, everybody I went out with in the future, I basically said, I can't make eye contact, but I'm listening to you, and I'm being honest with you. And I was talking to my wife about this morning, and she recalled this time when she said something to me like, this is really, really early on when we started hanging out. And she said to me, I feel like you're not listening to me. And then she said, then what you did was basically like begin AI summary. And then I gave like a 50 bullet list of like what she just said. And she realized, oh, okay, she's not looking, but she's absolutely paying attention, and stop worrying about it. Like she very much knows that I'm with her and I'm listening. And even if I'm looking everywhere else, and it's something that I don't give a whole lot of thought about too, because I can't do anything about it. And I don't feel like I should have to force eye contact because it's really uncomfortable for me. But I had an autistic friend come over. It was like the first time I'd met him. And I remember he was sitting on my couch and he had mirrored shades on and he was looking all over the place. And I was, kind of looking in his direction, and I couldn't have felt more connected with him. So I think it's really important that people understand that you can feel connection you can have connection without that. Some people need it, some people don't. And I think as long as people spend more than a minute with me, that they realize that I'm with them when I'm with them.
I would think it would actually make it easier for you to listen if you don't have to try and also make eye contact.
Exactly. That's actually a really important point. I can force eye contact, but I sure won't hear you. I can't do it. Yeah, because the info download from the eye contact just eclipses everything else. So I'd rather hear than get the soul download.
Right, right. Yeah, as Lisa said, beautifully said, Raesin, thank you. Let's see. So sorry, I have to keep reminding myself who's next. You probably already know. So Dan, you're on.
People need to be able to trust that I am aware of them when my body doesn't signal it. I mean, look, I can't even look at the camera steadily.
Thank you, Dan.
Say
All right,
something about
Ivanova.
that real quick. Do you mind if I jump in? So
Not
yesterday
at
I was
all.
in a meeting. I was in a meeting with Dan, and Dan was having dinner or a snack or something, and he wasn't facing the camera, but he's the only person who said, "Hey, are you okay?" Because I wasn't, and I really appreciated that. So thanks, Dan. He was a good guy.
So true. Ivanova, you've disappeared and we're seeing Lincoln. Oh, there you are.
Can you re-say the question?
Yeah, of course. So is eye contact an issue in your relationship or in pursuing relationships if you're not in one now?
No, it's not an issue. My husband doesn't care that I don't give eye contact. He just learned to accept that, and we just live our merry way. Sometimes he doesn't think I have. He thinks there's times where he thinks I'm not paying attention when I am. But there's other times where I'm trying to pay attention, but my brain decides not to process what he's saying, and that gets annoying. Is when like he's telling me something and then he asks me a question and I can't answer, and I'm like, my brain didn't even process anything you said. And so he has to repeat himself, and I'm sure he gets annoyed at that, because my brain doesn't always process everything that's said to me. And I also sometimes I like misread text messages, or I misread things, and so that causes confusion and frustration. But eye contact never really been an issue.
Thank you, Ivanova. Jamie.
How about eye contact? How about eye contact? I love being asked about that. Eyes are my true reality that offer through silent opportunity, a highly open true potential path of understanding in their heart. I look to true emotion. At times, if the feeling of love is wonderful in that sense, I may need to close my eyes in order to dominate that emotion. It is not that I do not want that contact, but it is overly powerful to me. Looking is loving to me, but I was not able to do this in my tender years.
Thank you, Jamie. And Yasmin.
Yasmin, it's your turn. Yasmin. Okay. Hold on, everybody. Okay. Yasmin wrote, lots of times I stare vacantly. Is that going to exaggerate lust in someone? I don't think so. I don't know what eye contact really does for building a relationship with me, as I often don't see what I'm staring at.
Thank you very much. That's it. That's interesting. And yeah, so helpful to think about. We are going to go on to the next question. Unless anybody wants to add anything to that one, I really appreciate it. Everybody had a little bit of a different answer, which it was so intriguing. The next question is, what are your feelings or experiences about a couple setting boundaries together, and how should that change over time? And so we're going to start Raesin with you.
I don't have much to say about it. I just think it's important to discuss boundaries, know them, and respect them, and revisit them because they can change. So that's it.
Thank you, Raesin. Dan.
I think the need to respect boundaries is always with us, even if the relationship is not sexual. That said, it's great to do things with someone that you could never do with anyone else.
Thank you. Ivanova.
Ian and I try to honor each other's boundaries, and sometimes I mess up and sometimes he messes up, but it's just all about acknowledging. It's like, oops, we kind of went too far there. The cut there, but so far we've not really had to. There's not been really much boundary overreach. It's mainly me just needing to be more outspoken when it's like a lot of our struggles is around executive tasks like cleaning, and like I can't live in sensory mess. So like trying to like go to speak out and be like, hey, I need help with this. I can't do this on my own. um and that's like sensory pieces that I can't handle. So just being supportive of that.
Thank you, Ivanova. Really focused, everybody's really focusing on the importance of communication around boundaries and etc. So thank you. And Jamie, feelings and experiences about boundaries, how to set them over time.
Our values is a bit perplexing. Touching was a sense of strange. Was a sense of strange courage when we were told in our younger years to not touch others. I think it's hard for people like me when my brothers have so many easy modalities. It seems difficult for support staff to initiate typical and direct communication. What I mean is that they struggle to comfortably assist.
Thank you, Jamie. Yasmin.
Here we go, Yasmin. Yasmin's answer is very short. I would assume that would be not just important, but essential.
Short and to the point. Very true. All righty. So we are on the final question, which I think is perfect because after this, it's a great question. And then after this, we're going to go into questions that all of you have or that more open conversation. So if you have questions, please remember you can put those in the Q&A. We would love to have those at the ready. If you put them in the chat, we're going to have a harder time kind of filtering through to find them. So if you could put them in the Q&A, we would really appreciate that. All right, so here's the last question. And Raesin, you're going to take us away with this one. If you could give only one piece of advice about relationships, what would it be?
I would say to check in, and that means like check in with your partner on things, but also be check-in is in be present to what's going on with yourself and with you as a parent.
Fabulous advice. All right, Dan.
Remember always that the individuals involved are far more important than the social customs.
Yes, for sure. Ivanova, what's one piece of advice that you'd be willing to share?
My piece of advice is to really get to know your partner and make sure your partner honors your body and you honor their body and love their body and love each other emotionally and physically in whatever way you feel most comfortable, and that's what true love is that you look what is best for the other person.
Wow, thank you, Ivanova. Jamie, what's your piece of advice?
And thinking about this today, I would suggest that everyone be involved with much earlier planning on these important questions. For people to be happier and to be honest is a lot to inform. I think it engages the fear of not being successful. Perhaps we can move forward with solid friendship. I truly believe if it's not elevated to a heart partnership, that is often just excellent.
Thank you, Jamie. Yasmin, advice.
Enjoy the time together. Life is short. Love each other while it lasts. Tomorrow may be too late.
So beautiful. I want that written down. That's beautiful. Thank you, Yasmin. All right. So now we get to open it up to questions. And again, I'm going to just remind you that when we do ask questions, that we are going to give time for answering. And so I will be silent during that time so that people can formulate their answers. So, all right. We have a lot of people commenting. I'm not sure that we have a whole lot of questions though yet. So we're open to questions, or if any of the panelists have something that came up that you'd like to share more about. I have to say, I really,
Yeah,
again,
please.
appreciated. Go ahead, Ivanova. Sorry to interrupt you.
I said you can ask me anything. I'm an open book. I can't hold a secret about myself worth a penny.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Raesin says same for her, for them. See her.
The peer differences in our journeys.
Jamie, can you repeat that?
I
Oh,
appreciate
you
the peer
wrote it in there.
differences in our journeys.
Yeah, me too. There's so many similarities, but then so many differences too. All of you are so well spoken. I really appreciate it.
Perhaps we can perhaps we can engage more discourses in this vital understanding.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And thank you, Jamie. I appreciate that when you are verbalizing, you're also typing for us in the chat. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Barb,
Raesin, you,
Jamie, were
yeah.
you done with were you done with that? Did you want to repeat the whole thing over again? Because that's typically what you do.
Yes, all set there. Yes, all
Oh.
set.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry, Barb.
Oh, no worries. Raesin, you had your hand up a second ago. Go ahead.
You know, I didn't even mean to do that.
Oh, you didn't?
But I didn't, but one thing I am thinking about that people talk about a lot is just fear of like a date going wrong or something. I hear about this from some of my friends, and I think that it's important to remember that dating disasters are kind of par for the course. Like it comes with the territory of putting yourself out there. And feel free to ask me about my dating disasters. I mean, I've had plenty, and I think just I understand why people are afraid to put their necks out there, but sometimes there's just the thrill in getting dressed and going somewhere or meeting somebody new.
Thank you for that. It's so true. I was actually thinking that it might be nice for the panelists if you have questions for each other, because some of you are in relationships, some of you have had dating history, that kind of stuff, and I'm, or have questions about touch and how that worked out. Like, or communication. Do you have questions for each other?
This is Ivanova, and my question is like, how did everyone have to overcome society trying to force mental age theory? Because for a lot of people with intellectual disabilities, mental age theory is used to say we're not allowed to be in romantic relationships. And the school tried to force it down my parents' throat, but my parents didn't listen. And that's why my parents made sure I got sex ed. But there are a lot of people that don't get that access. How do we work on helping make sure our people, no matter what the IQ is, no matter the speaking or non-speaking, how do we educate the community that we do not stay mentally as children? We become adults and we want to have romantic relationships.
Fabulous point, Ivanova. I would love to hear what other panelists have to say about that. I can see Dan typing, and I think that Jamie's also typing, so I'm going to stay silent.
Dan says, Yasmin, I was interested in what you said about eye contact and staring. I know that you are an artist. Could you talk a little bit more about how you use your vision?
Yasmin is having a bit of an overload right now. I think this whole conversation has been stressful for her. But
Okay.
she will type at her own time. So I think move on to other questions. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you for letting us know. If there's anything we can do, let us know that too.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want me to mute you, or do you want to mute yourself?
I'll mute her.
Okay. So there's a question hanging out there from Dan for Yasmin when she's ready, about how eye contact impacts her especially in her artwork. And Ivanova, you brought up just such a good point, I think, that about how society and the world doesn't seem to understand and believe that autistic people and people with disabilities have all the same love and desires for intimacy and sex, and need sex ed in school, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's such a good point. And your question of how do we convince people and society that that's a real thing seems silly that we even have to convince, in my opinion. So any thoughts on that from anybody else? Jamie, yeah.
I think the role of the support person is vitally paramount to have familiar knowledge of the persons.
Oh, and Jamie, thank you for switching your chat comments to everyone so that they can see those too. I didn't realize it was just on the panelist one at first. So thank you for doing that automatically. So you feel like the support person is vitally paramount to have familiarity with the person. Do you feel like that also? So how do your support people help you, or should they help you? Because I would hope that there are some panel or people here in the webinar who are supporting autistic individuals. What should they do to help
I think,
society and others understand?
I think at times it's just too much, just too much support. Absolutely, I think at times it's just too much support.
Mm. I've heard that before, especially from people who use letterboarding and spelling to communicate, of just kind of micromanaging. So not having somebody micromanage all the time, probably especially out in the community too, so that you have the opportunity to meet more people.
It's certainly very, it's very certainly annoying. You bet it's certainly very annoying.
Is there anything that you find particularly annoying about kind of too much overbearing support? Or anybody else?
Talking for us. For us is very for us is very upsetting. Very upsetting to me. Talking for us is very upsetting to me.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Not letting you have your own voice, but having somebody speak for you. Yeah. Thank you for highlighting that for sure. And thank you, Yasmin. So she answered that yes, do you want me to unmute you and be able to, or do you want to unmute and share? I see that you shared in the chat. Okay. So Yasmin said, I think my art is more intellectual. And that was in response to the question of, sorry if I'm saying this wrong, but how your eye contact may impact your art. And that you think it's more intellectual. Yasmin, there is a question for you. Are you feeling up to it? Okay, so the question is, what kind of art do you do?
Again, I would go on to other questions if there are any while Yasmin answers. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
we're happy to wait too. That's
That was-
part of
that
it,
was
and it's
my visual
okay.
connection.
Dan has something on the over
My
micromanaging.
visual connection.
Oh, excellent. So Jamie, I'm gonna ask if it's okay. I'm gonna let Dan answer and then come back to you. Is that okay with you? Okay, Dan, thank you.
Dan typed out, I think it's impossible to get it just right. We are always going to feel neglected or overstimulated. So we just have to be patient with neurotypicals the way they have to be patient with us.
And Dan, thank you. Do you want to say a little bit more about, I mean, do you have any recommendations, or I know that you're saying that it just feels like you either feel neglected or you feel overstimulated. I mean, both of those things I would hope that a support worker could help with, right? But what are your thoughts on not micromanaging, but also accommodating for you so you can be at your best? for dating, for example?
My personal solution. Okay. Well, everybody wants to know what your personal solution is to write long and unexpected sentences. They make my communication partners pay attention to my thoughts instead of trying to regulate my body.
So you purposely write longer sentences to then help the person focus on your thoughts rather than your body regulation?
Well, actually, yes, not to be long-winded, but to make the interaction more interesting than trying to make me pass, keep going, for closer to neurotypical. That's a lost cause with me. But thoughtful discussion makes everyone happy.
No pressure on yourself. You got to be interesting. But that's brilliant.
Most non-speakers know we have to do something to earn the privilege of being heard, and many of us love making language because we spend so much time listening.
Again, such good information for the world, not just the autism community. Jamie, you wanted to say something, I think.
I meant too much encouragement, physical connection. I may need a verbal word to initiate the movement, hold hands, but then it is my choice to move the action forward.
Wow, that's really interesting. So, in a relationship, for example, if somebody wants to hold your hand, just saying that first is going to help your body have the motor plan to do that, and then it's your choice. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I feel it's necessary to utilize the verbal suggestion.
Thank you, Jamie. I think that's so important in regards to consent in general, which Ivanova also you touch on a little bit. I would love to hear. That's an understanding that I have is that unexpected touch is much harder than when it's expected in the autism world, right? I would love anybody's thoughts on that. It looks like Ivanova, you have some thoughts. Raesin, you
This is
smiled and nodded when I said
Ivanova,
that.
and this is
Well,
good for
body
medical
work,
professionals to know too. It is really a lot better if you prepare us that you need to touch us or somebody needs to be touched. And that not to just do it unexpectedly, but to ask us first. It's helpful.
Open my body.
Yasmin answered her question, by the way.
Okay, thank you. Let me come right back to Yasmin in a second. I think Jamie, you're preparing an answer.
Your piece. So I am involved in my body work therapy, so touch is comfortable for me.
So you've had some support around that to help make it feel more comfortable?
Therapies in my life are paramount.
They've been really helpful for you. Raesin, did you want to say anything about touch? And then Yasmin, I'll bring you back in about your art.
Yeah, I was smiling because I thought of one of my biggest dating disasters where I was at this restaurant with this woman and I'm really ticklish and I was not expecting her to do this. And she did it intentionally, really. Like she was talking to me, I was listening, and while she was talking to me, she reached under the table and she grabbed my knee really hard. And I jumped, so I hit the table with my knee.
Oh no.
My mouth fell open, the food fell out of my mouth. So then I was horrified. It was just like this cascade of catastrophic things. And I wanted to bolt from the table. And for whatever reason, she thought that was hilarious and cute. And I thought, I'm never going to see this woman again. And we ended up dating for a long time. But I'm okay with touch. I'm not okay with surprises. And one of the things that bothers me in Hollywood, because I've had people do this, is like the sudden lunge, like the lunge kiss that can be like shocking, and it can be painful if people miscalculate how much room they have. So yeah, I cannot
They're
believe I
trying to
admitted
be,
this
they're
to
trying
the
to,
whole internet, but this was one of my worst dating catastrophes. Let's display the passion by doing something unexpected, and then yeah,
yeah.
it goes all kinds of wrong.
Yeah, it's supposed to come off as romantic, right? As like a quick kiss, but it can be
Yeah,
so,
don't do that.
oh, yeah,
Don't go with what Hollywood shows you. It can go all kinds of wrong.
yeah, so true, so true. All right. Yasmin, so I think the question was what kind of art that you do?
So she put her answer in the questions. So what she wrote is, the question was what kind of art, and she wrote lots of words which have meaning to me. Colors also play an integral part in my art, as each color has some specific meaning and applies to my mood.
Oh, is there anywhere that we can see your art online or anything that you'd be willing to put a,
If you, yeah, I'll put it in the chat. Okay.
thank you. Thank you. And Ivanova, I felt like you had something that I wanted to circle back to if you're open to it. You had said something about that you think that the court system should be more aware of um, autistic
Yeah,
adults and yeah, disability. Yeah,
the
tell me more about that.
the court system still allows guardians to now allow people to get married or be in any type of romantic relationship, and they control where people live. And we really need to educate judges that people with IDD have the right to do adult things, and guardians should get to use the courts to stop people with IDD from falling in love or doing adult things and having romantic relationships. And how do we need, I just want to encourage that we educate the court system and the guardians, that they have a duty to support us in having safe romantic relationships, not denying us the ability. Because it's also guardians too that take away people's rights. It's why my parents never put me under guardianship, and I'm so grateful to my parents because they really fought for my rights, and they did not want me being put in a system where my rights would be taken away. And so we really need to educate guardians and the court system that people with IDD have the right to be adults.
Do you have any recommendations of how to educate the court systems? Anybody? I know some of you are in disability rights, so.
I think promoting supportive decision making and seeing what process your state is in and doing supportive decision making law, because I know like both Texas and Washington have it, and it's an alternative to guardianship. So like promoting alternatives to guardianship.
Anybody else have an answer to that of what you'd like for, you know, listeners to do? We have a lot of people on this webinar who might be able to help make that change. And so I'm wondering if we can give them some ideas. I know it shouldn't be up to you to make those recommendations, but a lot of you are very knowledgeable in this. So I would love to hear your thoughts. And Ivanova, I don't know if you're watching the chat, but you should, because you were just called a badass. I love it.
Woo, I'm a badass.
Oh, wait, a supreme badass. I made a mistake. That's awesome. All right, well, if anybody has any ideas that you want to put in the chat, please do. But I'm going to move on to another question that I have. Thank you, Elizabeth. She's saying power of attorney is an alternative to guardianship. Yes. Does anybody else want to talk about guardianship or power of attorney or how that has either helped or gotten in the way of relationships? I know that I get that question a lot from parents of trying to figure out what they should do to support their autistic adult child.
New York is helpful to me with excellent self-determination support. Kelsey, Indiana has lousy support.
Oh, so it kind of depends on your state. Ivanova.
This is Ivanova, and I just want to respond to
Yes,
the
I agree.
comment that somebody said that I don't look intellectually disabled. And intellectual disability can be an invisible disability. And I was a special ed all through my schooling. It is not until my parents had to fight for me to even be allowed in a community college. And it's only because my parents demanded the community college accept me that I was able to get into the community college. And I had to fight for my education. And a lot of people with intellectual disabilities have to fight for their education, and a lot of times denied it. And when I was in elementary school and junior high, I was in self-contained classrooms and abused in that and called the R word. And it's my mother had to sit in the hallway and teach me how to read because the teachers would not teach me how to read. My mother had to sit in the hallway and teach me. And that's the only reason I can talk to you in academic terms today. But it's only because of hard work and people in my life fighting for me to have an academic education. And it's not right that people with intellectual disabilities are not allowed to be seen as intellectual. And I am an intellectual person. I am an academic person, but I still have my disabilities. I still struggle with reading. I still struggle to understand what I'm reading a lot of the times. And my writing is not the best. Like I have a lot of spelling stuff, and I adaptive functioning struggles. Like I can't drive, and I can't cook, and doing like those type of domestic tasks, things like trying to organize things, like keeping things organized, I really struggle with. Where other autistics that don't have intellectual disabilities are really good at organizing things. I don't have that. And so I do take offense to when people say I'm not really intellectually disabled because I have intellect. People with intellectual disabilities can have intellect. And just because our IQs may be low and we need support with daily living things, doesn't mean our disabilities go away when we gain some success or we're able to talk more. Because like first 5 years of my life, I couldn't speak, and now I can't shut up. And it just gets me in trouble, apparently.
So helpful, Ivanova. Thank you. It's really shows the importance of getting to know the person. You know, everybody has different strengths and processing and et cetera, et cetera. So somebody has a question for you, Ivanova. Liz Weintraub speaks on this issue often. Have you heard of her? That's the
She's
question.
awesome. Yeah, I've gone to AUCD conferences with her, and I've been interviewed by her through her Tuesdays with Liz program.
Do you want to tell the audience who she is?
So Liz Weintraub, I actually see her as a mentor. She is another very intellectual person with intellectual disabilities. And she has done a lot of work with the AUCD network, the Associated Universities of Excellence in Centers for Disability. And she does a lot of work with the USEDS and the LEND, and making sure research and that doctors and medical professionals are getting the right information. Sorry, my children are misbehaving.
I'm gonna, while you're doing that, I am trying to put some information about Liz Weintraub also in the chat. So
yeah, she does a lot of national, she's done some lobbying, and she does a lot of education around the LENS and the AUCD network, and she's a big time advocate for people with IDD, and she's also been very passionate about ending the marriage penalty. She's married herself, but she's not been able to have children, and that's made her really sad. But she fights for everyone to be able to have more freedoms, and she's trying to go back to college now, and I'm very proud of her for that.
thank you, Ivanova, for that information. And Zena for the question. Appreciate that. So I have a question that I get a lot of where do you meet people for love and intimacy? there's, some people here who have met in school and things like that, but the dating scene, how do you get out there? Where are you meeting people? Somebody said online. I would love to hear your answers on where you're trying to meet people or where you are successfully meeting people, whether that's something you struggle with. Yes, Raesin.
I met my wife at a meditation group that I was a regular member of. But I've also, before I met her, I met people just at random at parties and online.
Thank you. And Yasmin, thank you. She says, I'm sorry, I'm getting too emotional. It's a very difficult subject. And Ivanova says that she met Ian, her husband, at Youth Christian Church Group. What I like about both of those answers is that really it's not meeting because the other person has a disability or has autism or whatever, which we tend to do in society, is trying to lump people together with their diagnosis rather than interests. And really that's where you meet people, is through your interests and what you're passionate about.
There.
Ivanova, yeah.
I just want to add to that. That's one thing that's really cool. So my husband and I got together because he started talking to me about history, and I love history. And a lot of people ask me this, and they all think that my husband's also disabled, but he's not. He's non-disabled, but he still fell in love with me. People with disabilities can fall in love with people without disabilities, and people without disabilities can fall in love with people with disabilities. We shouldn't always be forced to always just be with our own kind, kind of thing. Like, we can
Right.
be I think some people call the word interable or interdisabled. I forgot how to say it, but it's a word to say people that get married with disabilities and without disabilities. And my husband and I do that. It's really funny because a lot of people ask us all the time, "Oh, is your husband also autistic? Is your husband also IDD?" And I'm like, "No, he's not." And they're like, "What?" Oh, I actually get a lot of shocked faces with that, and I think it's really funny. And it's like, really, you think a non-disabled person could love my beautiful face?
Thank you, Ivanova, for that. That was perfect. Jamie, did you have something you'd like to share?
I would meet other people at inclusion conferences.
And how do you meet them at the conferences?
We have presentations. We have presentations together.
Oh, nice. So when you're like this, like panelists, but in person, and then you meet other people because of that.
No. I love the opportunity. I love the opportunity. The opportunity to travel and engage the connection. I love the opportunity to travel and engage the connection.
Yeah, thank goodness we're not in COVID anymore, so that we can start doing that more often again. Dan, you had an answer that you'd like to share or a comment.
Dan said, I've made a few friends along the way, and I keep hoping they will introduce me to potential romantic partners, maybe with a recommendation and an injunction to be patient.
Yeah, friends of friends is also a great way to meet, yeah, love interests. Anybody else? Boy, a lot of people talking about traveling and getting pretty excited about it in the chat. Do you all travel and do this on a regular basis? Like on panels and stuff like that?
I travel for presentation.
Dan says, yes, my favorite thing.
Oh, nice. That must be hard though. So if you meet a love interest, like I think Jamie yours lives out of state, right? That probably meeting people traveling is going to end up having that happen. So how do you keep your relationship going if it's over the internet or things like that? Curious. Wow, one of our participants, Damon, travels internationally. He's on groups in on groups in 5 countries, tri-national, dual resident. Lots of travel. Which I have a question about travel, but we're supposed to be talking about love and intimacy, so I'm gonna try and stay focused.
See how fundamentally the same we are. I was so simply lucky to go with SU to Germany and to Wales and England and to see how fundamentally the same we are.
Wow. Germany, Wales, England. That's fantastic. Yeah, to realize how similar we are. Jamie or anybody, do you want to? I know that long distance relationships are really hard in themselves, but especially if you struggle potentially with communication and things like that. Tell me, how's that working? And do you have any recommendations for others?
It was a sensory disaster.
Mm. Oh, traveling was a sensory disaster on that trip.
Yes.
And part of the thing too is, Jamie, you can, I don't know, we're not like Lisa that know Jamie. Jamie, you're how tall?
You're 6'7" there.
6'7". So it was really, really difficult to travel that amount of time in a plane. And, because you can't do Ivanova, I don't know, like the exit seat, where you get a little more leg room, that wasn't possible. And the bulkhead, when you've got really large feet, it's up against that. So we really had to learn to accommodate a lot of the sensory things for Jamie, which I didn't even think about impacted traveling even in the United States. But so over the course of time, we've learned a lot about sensory, and I'm curious to know about other folks on the panel if that affects you in travel.
I see Dan's working on an answer.
It's not a healthy answer, but when I travel, I tend to drink to help get through the travel.
It can reduce anxiety in the moment. I've heard that before. Dan, yeah, sorry.
Dan says, no, but it affects the people sitting near me.
Oh yeah, that too, because my walking can irritate people, and I can't help it.
Yeah, I know. When we were in Germany, I kept saying to Jamie, "You have to have a beer while we're here," and you had one sip, and you described it as
too effervescent.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
too
alcohol
bubbly.
wasn't.
Dan also says that the important takeaway is that all the professionals who told my parents that I would not like a change in environment were wrong.
So true. So
Yeah.
Yasmin said, I grew up in Italy. The house is still ours, so I go back every year. I love traveling. I love that. That's so true, Dan, that I'm sure that guardians, back to that, we think, routine and sameness and things like that. And so we don't think, right, that, oh, travel's can be hard. But I hear that again and again that, you know, travel's fun. And I've heard that with kind of more OCD tendencies, it can really get you out of that, which can feel really some relief. Is that true for any of you?
Dan says routine is where our helpers meet us.
Oh, say more about that.
Okay, I hope I'm not going to garble this. That was a lot of fast typing. Um, we crave connection, not routine. It's the overwhelmed helpers who need the routine in order to know what's going on.
So true. So often, some of the stuff that we do as professionals is definitely more for the people supporting you to have their heads on straight.
Dan says, as it should be.
Yeah. So much more about connection. Would you say
You're
that,
there too, Dan says. As it
what
should
did
be.
I say? I'm sorry.
As it should be. You are there too.
Yeah. Do you feel like routines, how do I ask this? That you're saying that routines are often for the other people, right? For connection. Um, Bringing it back to navigating love and intimacy, do you think that that would be, I mean, how do you feel about routines with your partners? Those of you who have partners, do you rely on routines together? Or is that a moment of connection early on? I'm just kind of curious about your thoughts around routine and relationships.
I'm terrible at setting routines. I struggle to set up routines myself.
Do you appreciate them though, Ivanova, if they're set up by
I
your
like
partner?
them, but I'm not good at creating them
Oh, okay.
or keeping them.
Raesin, do you have any thoughts on routines in your relationship? I sometimes am making recommendations for like have a routine of venting to each other every day or something like that. Or is that kind of stuff or any
We don't
routine?
really have routines. I think the only place where routine comes in for me is how I approach my workday. But
Mm,
we have things that we typically do together, but it's not rigid. I mean,
mhm.
yeah, we don't. It doesn't really play a part. I also noticed that Yasmin put comment in the chat.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mhm.
So Yasmin said, I never have had trouble traveling. I feel the containment of my family on either side of me helps. Hmm. Really relying on family for that feeling of safety while you're traveling. Somebody in the chat, Sujit, am I saying your name correctly? Says, yes, I travel every year on 14-hour nonstop flights to India. That's long. And loved it, though I slept through most of it. I traveled to Seattle too every year, which is again takes 2 stops and 8 hours total. It's a lot. Jamie, did you want to read yours?
For me, I was greatly fascinated by the castle in Wales and got lost.
Oh,
Traveling was very encouraging to know I would be able to connect my sense of personhood together again. I think they understand that fear would not be a dastardly ending.
Mm. Thank you, Jamie. Dan, did I see you typing something that you'd like to, or letterboarding?
I got stuck at a window of a fish and chips place.
Oh no.
And
Why was that a bad thing, Jamie? And then, sorry, then I'll get back to you, Dan. Jamie, why did it feel like you were stuck?
I was terrified to be lost.
Oh, were you, so that was when you were in the castle. Is that what you're talking about? And that you ended up getting stuck at the fish and chips place because you were terrified?
Mhm.
Ah, yeah, when you were saying that earlier, I was thinking like that's another whole line of questioning of getting
I was
lost
afraid,
and having your independence, but still, yeah.
I was afraid to move,
Uh,
afraid to move further. I was afraid to move further.
mm-hmm. Well, apparently somebody found you since you're not still there, so I'm glad. Dan, what would you like to say?
Dan says, routines may be helpful in overcoming apraxia, but there is a difference between favorite things and routines. For example, ice cream is good at any time of day.
I'm a chocolate lover.
Here,
I would
here.
agree with that.
Here, here. I love it.
So routines and favorites. Tell me a little bit more, Dan, about what you mean between the minute. Yeah, about either one or both.
A routine is an unbreakable sequence. That is the opposite of using skills to be in a more interesting world. But sequencing is hard for me
Mm.
and probably others. So I have put the cheese on the spaghetti in the pot, but left out the water. That is bad for lunch and makes neurotypical caregivers very upset.
Mm. It's like that was a good analogy. Um, so Yasmin answered in the chat regarding routines and things as well. So she said, "You're correct in to say it is not so necessary to have routine in our lives. It's boring. Only helps the caregivers who otherwise are at their wits' end." Makes me so sad that so many of you are talking about how your caregivers are exhausted and are at their wits' end and overwhelmed. It's true, but makes me sad. Okay, and Jamie, you said, I'll let you say it.
I believe my understanding is that I can overcome the fear and move in the future. I think that might be as in dating, perhaps.
And
Oh, so you
sorry. And
go ahead.
Dan said caregivers at their wits' end raises anxiety.
Yeah, yeah. You need caregivers who are calm and confident in the moment to, yes, so hard for everybody. Um, so thank you so much. So we are nearing the end we probably have time for one more question if anybody has one, or one more thing that you'd like to say as a send off to this fabulous group that we've been a part of in the webinar. Does anybody have some parting words?
We all have the right to grow up and fall in love.
We say mentors here in Syracuse.
Oh, did I say support workers? Yeah, mentors. I like mentors a heck of a lot better. And Ivanova, that was beautiful. Would you be willing to say that one more time?
We all have the right to grow up and find love.
Absolutely. Anybody else have any final words that you'd like to share? It looks like Dan is typing.
Dan said, Jamie, those can be two different things. Mentors are guides to growth and intellectual growth. Caregivers, sorry,
I have.
may just be helping us get
Really enjoyed
out of the
this.
house.
Mm. Can you, are you able to repeat that? Dan's dad.
Yeah. Dan said, Jamie, those can be two different things. Mentors are guides for growth and intellectual growth and I think general growth. I'm sorry, I'm losing it. But caregivers may just help us get out of the house.
Oh, good point. Yes, two different things for sure. I'm going to let Jamie say some final words, and Raesin, if you'd like to say final words, and then we're going to say thank you and goodbye. Okay? So, Jamie.
My friends, I have really enjoyed this. Have a great weekend. Bless you there.
Thank you, Jamie. Raesin.
Really enjoyed this as well, and I always appreciate the opportunity to participate or attend these webinars because I get to learn things about my fellow board members that we don't get to discuss in our business meetings. So I just love getting to know everybody better, and I appreciate all the people who attended this also, and the lively chat that was going on. It's just great to be part of this.
Absolutely.
If I
And
may,
Yasmin.
I just want to say, Barb, you did a wonderful job of moderating this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And Yasmin said thank you for listening and sharing. So this has been so fantastic. I have learned so much. I want to go listen to the webinar again to really listen and kind of digest some of what you said today. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
We will have this on our website. We'll have a recording of this in the next few weeks. So thank you all very much.
Take care, everyone.